Hey everybody, this episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast is brought to you by AutoTempest.com. Look, whether you're rich or poor, your time is worth money. Don't waste it by doing work twice. And that's what finding a used car is like on the internet. You got to do everything not just twice, but 3, 4, 5, 6 times. When you go look at all those different car sites, you got to put the same criteria in over and over again. It is a waste of time. Even if you find what you're looking for, it's a waste of time. That's why AutoTempest is here. They aggregate all those sites into one place. You just go to AutoTempest.com, put your search criteria in there, and it scours the entire internet, folks. Everywhere. Cars.com, Cars Direct, Cars Soup, compare to Facebook Marketplace, compare to eBay Motors, compare to, what did I forget? Facebook Marketplace, eBay Motors, Cars.com, Craigslist nationally, all of it. You throw it all together, AutoTempest searches all of it for you, folks. They've been with us a long time. We appreciate them. Let's show them some love. When you're searching on the internet for a used car, just do it at AutoTempest because it'll save you time anyway. It's easy. All right, on this episode of the show, Frank Mecum of the legendary Mecum Auction family is joining us from the East Coast remotely. I am really happy to have him because I love these auctions and talking about these types of cars and what these auctions are really like and all that stuff. But I have to give a disclaimer. Homie lives in a place with some terrible internet. And so Zach did his absolute very best to edit this show around some of our connectivity issues into something that is listenable. And where you see imperfections from a technical standpoint, we, I promise you, have done our level-headed best to fix these connectivity issues. Bear with us. It's all good. It's a great show. Frank Mecum on the Smoking Tire Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast on a Friday afternoon. Man, a good Friday afternoon. If we didn't have such a fun job doing this show, it would almost be a shame to be inside because in SoCal, it is like the day right now. We are joined by Frank Mecum of Mecum Auctions. What's up, man?
Thanks for having me.
There we go. Technology brings you. Where are you calling in from?
We're in southern Wisconsin.
Oh man, is there still visible snow on the ground?
No, we're it's 70 today.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's our first grade day of the spring.
Perfect. Are you by Road America?
3 hours south of there. I grew up going up there with my grandpa though. It was that place is
one of my
favorites.
Yeah, one of our favorite tracks in North America. I have a map of it on my wall in my living room, actually.
We actually had 3 auctions during the Brian Redmond Challenge, late 90s. The food at that racetrack, those sausages are what bring me back all the way from California time after time. Hello? Oh, mine was the sweet corn, just dipped in butter. That was always my favorite as a kid.
If you have good food at a racetrack, it's a rare delicacy, much enjoyed.
It helps set the track apart.
So, Frank, what generation are you in the Mecum business? How far back does it go? Because you're the young one, and then you've got your father, right?
Yeah, my dad started the business in 1988. But my family has been in the car business for over 60 years. My grandpa was a car dealer for 60 years. He passed away 2 years ago. But so my family's been in the car business for 3 generations now.
And how many auctions a year are you guys running now?
We are doing 12 car auctions, 2 tractor auctions, a motorcycle auction, and road art and guitars.
Why don't we know more about the tractor auctions?
Yeah.
We do the 2 tractor auctions a year. My oldest brother Dan started the tractor auctions. They're awesome. The crowds are full. It's over the last 10 years since we've started doing it, they've grown from just small time to having tractors selling for 6 figures plus and a lot of great road art too.
Can I ask, I mean, other than I could think of a couple obvious ones being like Lamborghini and Porsche early tractors, right? Which are now kind of a thing. Other than that, what does a 6-figure vintage tractor look like?
John Deere tractors, some of the rare John Deere tractors are big, and also the internationals. There's some big internationals.
I really like some of those weird aerodynamic tractors. Like Jeff Zwart has a Porsche one that's kind of like that, where it's very like streamlined, meant for cutting through like fields like that.
I think this picks corn.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, but it looks like a land speed car.
Yeah, it's like a Bonneville body, right? Yeah. I'm totally about this. We need to cover this, Zach.
Are 6-figure tractors? Are they also like new tractors that are highly advanced technologically? It's all vintage. Wow.
No, these are vintage.
Wow.
But you see some of the new stuff that they got out there. I mean, tractors drive themselves now on GPS.
Yeah. What movie is that with Matthew McConaughey where he goes to space, but he's also a farmer? He's like the GPS tractors. Like that's supposed to be like way in the future. It's like, no, that's now.
Yeah, I just saw a video on Reddit of like what looked like, I don't know, 14 or 15-year-old girl driving some monster combine.
I'm losing you again.
And had like 18 monitors in front of it. And I guess her dad was like at home in the kitchen watching a stream of her farming.
Whoa.
And she was just like touching monitors and doing, I don't know, whatever combines do. But it was all touch screens and like there was basically not even a steering wheel. Anyway, I love your farm. I love the tractor auctions. That needs to be covered by major outlets. It hasn't been yet. What is one of those things, like what does a tractor auction bring in compared to a car auction?
It's a loss. So, the normal tractor auctions are $2 to $4 million in sales.
That still sounds like kind of a lot.
Yeah,
it still sounds like a bunch.
It is. It is, but compared to the cars, it's less, but it's definitely growing.
Is the criteria for a collectible tractor like? This will sound really dumb, but is it like a car where like, oh, this was the prettiest one of that generation, or this was like the most reliable, like a Porsche type thing? Is it like, I don't know, what are people drawn to when it comes to, like what makes it a very expensive tractor?
It's really the same as cars. It's rarity and desirability. There's things that people want now. When cars, you think of all the rare cars now, a lot of the reason they're rare is because no one wanted them then.
Yeah.
It's the same with tractors. They didn't make a lot of them because you didn't have a lot of use for it. But now it's rare, desirable, and collectible.
And are these things just going into big collections somewhere, or is some like hipster farmer buying one of these to like ironically plow his crops with? Bro.
So I'm gonna.
Are we still still this?
We are.
Fuck me. $14 billion, you guys. I'm sorry that I pretended like we weren't streaming still when Frank went away there. But so anyway.
We would have talked about that anyway.
Yeah. You want to hear some other crazy shit until Frank comes back?
Yes.
From my house today, I saw first, Hannah and I saw a dead dolphin on the beach. A very large dead dolphin.
That's sad.
It was sad. Then we saw two guys with an enormous tractor dig an 8-foot deep hole right in the middle of the beach, right in front of my house, pick up the dolphin with the tractor.
No way.
And thunk
Are you serious?
It right in the hole.
What?
And bury it. I got a video of it. Of them burying a huge dolphin right in the middle of the sand, right in front of my house.
What? That hole is not deep enough, man.
They went pretty far down. I mean, they went like probably 6 or 7 feet down. But we're probably talking about at minimum like a 500-pound dolphin. It was fucking huge.
But I guess I don't know how,
I don't think what they did was legal.
It has to have been. It has to, because otherwise, who, you can't just drive a tractor onto the beach.
Well, no, it was beach employees. Right, so it was parks people did it.
They called someone and they were like, "What do we do?" And they're like, "You bury it 8 feet down, and the sand crabs will eat it." I guess. What do you mark that spot so we don't lay on it later this summer, because it's probably going to have a bit of a terroir. So.
Yeah, I mean, they leveled it out, but like, I don't know. Hannah was concerned. Hannah was like like we're directly downwind of this shit. Like, are we going to smell dolphin rotting? I don't think so. I think it looked pretty deep. Like the angle of the tractor, like when the tractor dug out the bottom hole, like at the bottom of the hole, the angle was pretty steep of the tractor. But it was still kind of like, you know what I mean?
That's
like,
pretty gross.
Yeah.
8 feet. Is 8 feet?
Hannah was like, is that really? Like, that's a,
Like in my head, in my head, I think sand just goes down forever. Like soil, when someone gets, or an animal or person gets buried in soil, you're like, well, there's worms and there's plants and there's different detritus in there. But when you look at the beach, I just assume it's just sand, which is just glass, like wall to wall.
Yeah.
Is there enough stuff in there? I guess there must be. There must be microbes in there that will consume that.
I think it's pretty dense. Yeah, I think things decay in the sand. I do like because it's water too. It's wet sand at a certain point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a lot. Like
nothing will
mound,
smell better than an old fish in wet salt water.
The mound they dug out, like the mound that was sitting there, was like probably 7 or 8 feet tall. It was a big mound. Like it was a big mound of dirt, but like I was saying, but it was still sort of like, wow, they're just doing that right there, huh? Okay.
Someone asked if there's any smoking fire recipes for dolphin meat.
Bro, let's go out tonight and get a shovel. Like, we get a couple 100 pounds of this. Like, it's probably still fresh, like 6 hours.
Sure, it's fresh. It's 80 degrees out. It's sitting in salt water. Oh, my God.
They also got the bioluminescence going on.
Yeah.
The waves are glowy at night, which is crazy.
There was a video of someone surfing in them, and I think the person who filmed it cranked the contrast a bit.
Right.
But like you can still, it helps you see how much bioluminescence there is.
Yeah, you have to go to like ISO 3200 or whatever to do it, but like it's still like, and it's not like it's like light. It's more just like a glow. It's like a subtle kind of glow. Like the whites are like brighter. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like during the day right now, the waves are like a red mud, and apparently that is also the indicator for bioluminescence at night. So anyway, that's what's happening in Venice right now. It's a fucking shit show. And then our traffic light at the corner of Washington Pacific was out. It's a pretty major intersection, and this traffic light was just out. No cop, nobody for about 2.5 hours. So that was going really well. I'm
texting Frank.
Texting Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah, this connection thing. Have we just had good luck? Is that what have we only had good luck?
I think so. I mean, we don't know, I don't know what Frank's Wi-Fi is where he lives, etc. Yeah. He may be like, dude, I have a T1 line, in which case then I don't know. But I know the only issue we had before was with Johnny Smith, who's a little bit out in the middle of the UK, and I don't think his internet is great. Because we're like hardwired. We have really fast internet here.
Yes. We bought the fast internet, and then we run a hard line. So we're doing the best that we physically can. Our software, sometimes Zach needs to notice that the sound is turned off.
That the layer is gone.
I missed that one too. That was a weird one.
The actual layer has disappeared.
On the car front, until we hear from Frank again, I just got another press car. I found out, thank God, that Land Rover and BMW are still running cars right now, which is excellent. So I got this Velar SV autobiography, which, you know how the good thing about every Jaguar Land Rover product that has a 6-cylinder in it is the 6-cylinder and the 8-cylinder are the same size. Mm-hmm. So anything that's got the 6 will also fit the 8. So this is a Velar with a supercharged V8 in it. It's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Have you been in one of these yet? All right. So let's talk about auctions again since you're back.
All right.
What have you seen over the last couple of years in terms of what is going up and what is maybe kind of waning off a little bit?
Well, I think one of the big things that's really come up are resto mods that everybody has seen. The other one, trucks and Broncos. Who thought you'd ever see a $200,000 Bronco? I mean, that's the crazy one to me. Broncos, Blazers, those are the big ones I've seen the last couple of years. You've seen some of the 50s cars take a little bit of a dip. I think their market is becoming a little more narrow. The big 50s cars that are desirable have went up, actually. But I just think the amount of cars that are going up has just shrunk a little bit.
I'm not surprised about the early SUVs. I mean, now that we don't really see body on frame stuff anymore. Everything's kind of this egg-shaped crossovers. It does stand to reason that people will want to collect the sort of original, traditional, open top kind of beach vehicles. That makes a lot of sense. And especially, people are like, oh, well, fuck, I'm going to get 6 miles per gallon in this thing anyway. I might as well be able to drive it on some dirt.
Some of the resto mod Broncos are even crazy. The things the Coyote motors they're dropping into those, and what they're adding in just value is crazy.
Well, our friend Jonathan Ward at Icon builds, one of the best, most expensive resto mod Broncos that money can buy, and I think those things are in like the 300s or something with a year plus waiting list. Sick. But original Broncos and Scouts and Blazers were garbage vehicles. They were not good. Yeah.
We've had people buy them, pay big money for them, and then complain because they don't like them. And it's like, well,
no one's liked them for 40 years. Like, what are we doing? That's funny, man. What about you said some of the highest end 50 stuff is going up. Why do you think that is?
I think there's still just the design factor. They're crossing over a little bit to that end that they're being bought as art. I mean, the 50s design is very popular. They're beautiful cars. So I think you're starting to see that a little bit. You're going to start seeing some of those cars bring money as art more than they are as cars.
Yeah. Are what we seeing also like a consolidation of collectors, or are we seeing more newer collectors coming in? Like, do you get a lot of first-time buyers, or is a lot of repeaters and hoarders?
There's both. There's always new people coming into the market. Everybody says, this hobby that'll go away because the people that are 60, are getting older, and there's people getting older. I was like, but my contention is that the people with the money have always been 45 to 60, and that'll stay the same. So your demographic stays the same. It just, the people change.
It was interesting that you said resto mods are going up, because I always kind of thought that at least there was a period of time, and I thought it was a pretty substantial period of time, where it seemed like a lot of folks were building or having these very premium resto mods built. But then you could kind of go to a Mecum and pick them up for 40 or 50 cents on the build dollar. Is that not the case anymore?
Well, that's not the case of just a resto mod. That's been the case of restoration from the beginning of time. People that put hot rods or resto mods, you do a build. I always tell people figure half. That's going to be a return on your investment on a build of that magnitude. That's just the way it's always been. But people always do it because it's why we go build a house or do something like that. It's if you do truly love it, it's not about the money. It's about the time and the enjoyment of a new hobby.
Yeah, and it can be an expression of yourself. It can be a purpose. You can go racing or track days or a show car or whatever. You can have
not
a goal.
69 Z28. It's not a 69 Z28. You got something different than everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you like? Have you found that there's any genre of car that typically returns better than other genres, or is it all just what the trend is of that particular couple of years?
So there's always different trends, and you always see the returns, and then everybody jumps on that fad, and and then it changes to something else, and it's the neat part of our business. If we had a crystal ball, it wouldn't be any fun. But like I said, the new stuff, the new niche has really been those early SUVs and the Broncos and the Blazers and the 70s pickup trucks. That's really been a new trend that we've seen. And you've seen some muscle cars really start to do that. Some the model cars have really picked up. There's some cars that have really kicked up.
You guys tour pretty much all over the country, right? 12 auctions a year, so it's pretty spread out around America, right?
Yeah, we're coast to coast, and we're about every 2 to 3 weeks, except for the last 45 days. I think this is the most time I've slept in the same bed since
Yeah, you must be like proper road dog at that point. How many like laps of this have you gone around? 12 a year for how many years?
I've been full time since I was 21, so the last 16 years.
Wow, that's a bunch of laps.
Yep.
Do you fly city to city, or do you road trip it, or how do you do it? What's your method?
A little bit of both. The last couple of years, I've loaded my family in the truck every summer, and we do Harrisburg. We drive out to Harrisburg. We do a little road trip there, and then we drive back. That's about 14 hours in the car. But most of the time, we're flying. You just to keep the pace we do, you gotta keep moving, and as soon as the auction's over, it's on to the next one.
Yeah. You must have a routine at this point. Every city, you stay in the same hotels. You got restaurants you like. You got all your stuff probably organized at this point, right?
Well, it's the one thing we've always said. Once the auction starts, you're not allowed to eat with a fork. So there really aren't restaurants for us, but usually the same hotels. But yeah, you're definitely routine. It's especially the bigger auctions. We've always said it's like Groundhog Day. You just get up and do it again.
Yeah. When you are working and you obviously have you've got the insider knowledge, not necessarily of what anything will sell for, but you're looking at all these cars, you're seeing everything go by, you're hearing the stories of them, and especially the premium stuff. Are you ever tempted to buy? You ever tempted to go in?
We are hardcore addicts.
I thought you were about to say we are not allowed to buy, and then you went the other way.
No, we definitely participate. Myself, my dad, we're car guys. We have cars. We love cars. We've always said we practice what we preach. Sometimes I've always said my favorite car is the last car I sold, but we're always looking for the next car. Is you see something you like, and you just if nobody's on it that day, we buy it.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have the bid goes on room, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the bid goes on. That's where when a car doesn't sell on the stage, it goes over into the other room for the whole rest of the weekend with basically silent auction on the window, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It gives sellers that last opportunity. Sellers spend a lot of money coming to market. The hauling, the hotel rooms, the entry fees. It's not easy to do. So if they miss, we feel that we got to give them every chance they got to sell their car. So that's really how that came up, and it's been a real great model to help sellers out to make that last chance.
I really liked that room. Last Mecum I went to, that room was where all the gold was.
Really?
All the gold was in there. Because I think I was on a Saturday. So cars had been kind of accumulating in there since Wednesday or Thursday. And man, there were nuggets of gold all up in that place. Bentleys bid to $20,000 and just all kind random oddballs, not
oddball stuff you
oddballs.
like, and that the general market may not pay attention to.
Right? Yeah, stuff the market is sort of okay, it's either a weird custom or there was a first gen Sirocco slammed on a wide body kit with Ronals. Nobody at Mecum cares about that, but I'm $7,500. Whoa, hold me back. You know what I mean? It was great. So what's the last few cars you picked up at your own auction, Frank?
Nothing special. We've been our bread and butter's always been muscle cars and Corvettes. So that's the stuff we truly lean towards. But especially Dad, his collection is from.
Oh no! Did you just go away? Last I heard was Corvettes, and then you cut out twice.
No, what I was saying is Dad's collection is A to Z. He really doesn't have. He has a little bit of everything: Corvettes, muscle cars, classic sports cars, vintage Indy cars. Just a little bit of everything.
Does he drive the vintage Indy cars?
Yes.
I'm always obsessed with guys who are like fairly regular people, but buy like these crazy Indy cars and F1 cars and go drive them.
They're not like that. They're front engine 30s.
The really old school stuff.
Yeah, they do. He does the Miller Meet every summer at the Milwaukee Mile.
Oh, cool.
Yep, he was the president of the Miller Club for 10 years. He stepped down a couple years ago, but he still participates in the show every year.
So I guess those are probably like, I mean, I bet they're very strange, but a little more drivable, I guess, right?
Well, depends on who you think driving it. When the brake's on the outside of the car and you got to pull it with your hand.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, they're not really meant to it's not like a street drive kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm 6'2". They were not built for me.
Wait, but is the Milwaukee Mile an oval?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not going full out either.
Yeah, it's like a tour to old Indy cars.
Yes.
But do you know these guys that are like where they're like the most successful dentist in Jacksonville or something, and they go buy like a Michael Schumacher Ferrari and then go try and drive it, and you need a crew of like 12 guys to run this thing.
Can-Am car.
Yeah. You don't hear of the stories. They don't really tell a lot of people when they crash them. I don't think.
Yeah.
You hear about it when you buy it, and then never again. Why I'm just like in constant panic about the signal cutting out. Just because you just hear silence for like a 0.4 and you go, oh, he's gone.
Nope, I'm here.
Something I noticed when I was scrolling through all the auction results, Frank, is there's like such a difference in each region of what is most popular. It's very clear. If anyone wants to get an idea of different regions and what they're into collector car wise, like you can kind of just scroll through like the Kissimmee auction, the Glendale auction, Chicago, Kansas. Some places the top 6 sales are old drag cars, and then the next one, the top 5 of the top 10 are old Corvettes, and then it goes to like supercars. It's really interesting.
Yep, it's every auction's got has its own little niche, and they change over time. Like Indianapolis has always been known as the nation's muscle car auction, and always has. It's the auction we started with. It's our first auction. It moved from Illinois in 2008 to Indianapolis when we started with TV. But it's always been our first sale, and Kissimmee's grown into our largest sale dollar volume wise and number of cars. But every sale's a little different, and it's got its own little niche.
Yeah. That Lincoln Continental, that Continental Mark II you had pulled up is great. I love those Continental Mark IIs. Those are good. Where in the country is the most European cars?
I'd say you see most of that is probably Monterey.
Oh, well, that certainly makes sense. Yeah,
that's where you'll see a lot of that stuff. We've seen some of that do well in Vegas. Vegas surprised me with hot rods. Hot rods are huge there. I expected it to be a more supercar, late model supercar market, but it really isn't. It's really led towards the hot rods, so you never know.
How interesting. What is the most logistically the most difficult thing about putting on a big event like this with all the cars and all the people and the TV and all that stuff going on at the same time?
When people come up to me and they say they want to come work for Mecum, they want to do the live events, I I asked them if they've ever worked for the circus, because that's what it is. We come in and most of our events were up in 48 hours, and we're down in usually 48 hours or less. It's like the rock concert coming to town. The trucks roll in, you get set up, and you go.
My wife is absolutely obsessed with being one of the people that drives cars across the block.
Why?
She loves those people. She finds them so interesting because they have to be invisible once they're on the stage. You're supposed to have draw no attention at all. Just fucking, they're sitting in like a $50 million GTO and you can't even smile. Straight faced.
Straight face, wearing a glove. And a lot of times the car is just pushed. It's not even driven.
Well, actually, Frank, tell me about the science of this, because when I figure it, they're driven on but pushed off. Why is it always like that?
So we don't die of carbon monoxide poisoning. That's it. It just keeps the crowd from being smoked out. That's the only reason. We used to always, back in the old days, everything was just driven front to back, and you'd leave at night with headaches, and it's just bad.
Yeah.
So it just keeps the crowd into the auction. Everybody doesn't go to sleep. It works a little bit better.
But it's driven on, not pushed on, so that you know that it runs and hear it for just a little second, just get a little taste.
People have to, people don't get nervous if they don't see a car run, because they don't get driven two line. They get a lot of, so they don't really get much time with hearing the cars run. So you got to give them a little something. So there's comfort in that.
How much inspection are your customers allowed to do once the auction begins? Not necessarily once the car's like up on the block, but like, can you like bring a mechanic and pop the hood and that kind of stuff? I've never tried, so I don't know.
We encourage people to do their own inspections. You got to do your due diligence on these cars, because there's so many different nuances. So you really got to know what you're getting into. What I tell first people all the time is, if you're buying a 50-year-old car, you can't expect it to behave like your everyday driver. You just have to know going in that you have to look at it first and know what you're getting. I'm
chuckling because that's the idea that you have to explain that concept to somebody is like, it's not, I mean, I understand why you do. You deal with thousands of people all over the country, you know what I mean? And it's the masses.
It's people wanting to get into the hobby but they've never been around cars. We're car people, so we get it, but we don't realize that there's so many people out there that aren't car people, that have caught us on TV and want to be part of it, but they want to buy a '69 Camaro, but they don't know how to drive stick. Do you have an official Mecum stick instructor for if you buy a stick car and have no idea what to do? No, but I will tell this story. Speaking of drivers, we were doing our normal driver meeting, talking to the drivers before the auction, and Monterey's, one that there's usually more manuals than anywhere else. They always ask, we got to know who can drive manual and who can't. And 2 people raised their hand that they could drive manual. Oh boy. I can't believe that you'd even allow anybody to do that job that can't drive a manual. That seems like the very most baseline. Yeah, it usually you don't have a problem, but that time it was just like everybody kind of looked around like, yeah. Do you have a Model T specialist? That's when it starts to get real funky with the Model Ts. They're hard as hell, man. When you need 4 legs to try to drive it, yeah.
That would be the safest car to ride right seat, though. If you're going to instruct someone, like I don't want to instruct someone in their new manual transmission, like McLaren F1.
Yeah, but you can jump out at full speed in a Model T.
Right. Frank? Do people do they start their car adventure with you just because, like you said, they saw '68 Camaros? Maybe their friends are kind of into them, or they just see them and they like the way they look, and they go, well, the easiest place to find these is, you're essentially a toy store. Is that why they start there? Because to me, it seems like kind of a high pressure environment versus they going, shop online or something like that, or they can learn about the car first. So why is it that their first entry into a collector car or an exciting car is at an auction?
Well, it isn't just, and this isn't just cars, but we're in a time where I'd say the last 10 years, auctions have been vogue. And like I said, not just cars and everything. People like the atmosphere and the participation of the auction process. And then you add the dynamics of a collector car auction, which are entertainment. It becomes somebody that's doing their first car. It's part of the process that they traveled to an event. They searched out their car. They sat in a crowd, and then they bid against other people, and then they got it. It's this, and this is for me more than anybody else. Sometimes it isn't the car; it's the hunt. The chase, to find something new. That's more than just the car sometimes.
Well, it's super. I mean, if you've watched it on TV, going in person is super exciting. The energy's great. It's because there's so many cars and all the memorabilia and all that other stuff. It's a big thing. So it takes a lot of walking and time to go around, but there's a lot to see, and there's always a really good kind of vibe and energy about it. And especially if you go to like Monterey or if you go to Scottsdale during auction week or car week at Scottsdale, I think all the different auctions have their own kind of like vibe. You go to like RM and it's very like, the 1934 Packard Model 17 is numbers matching, and then Russo and Steele is like a fucking rodeo over there. It's like they practically have bull riding on the stage at that one. And I think you guys at Mecum, it's in the middle where you've got some elements of both, but it's really interesting to see how each auction company handles that.
Yeah, it's everybody's got their own personality and their own deal. We've built ourselves around that we work both sides of the deal. They see where you don't see it as much as anywhere else. We work with the seller to take a little bit less and the bidder to give a little bit more. There's more negotiation at our auctions than anywhere else, and that's part of our brand, and that's, I think, what people like to see. And what I've told people forever: we are the greatest car show on earth.
It is a good car show. I really enjoyed it when I went. It's great fun.
Yep.
What are some of the most exciting individual auctions that you can remember in recent memory?
Well, recent memories, Bullet. That was.
Oh yeah, of course.
That was the one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my career. They can. I couldn't believe that they actually can do this, but with technology, you don't get surprised much anymore. But they could track how many different devices were connected to the Wi-Fi in the arena. So there was over 14,000 connected to the Wi-Fi in the arena. So you figure everybody's got a cell phone. You're right around 14,000 people in that arena for that car.
Oh, I thought, yeah. I mean, it's like, how long did that whole auction last for this thing? It was a short one, right? It went up quickly. It wasn't even that long.
It was probably start to finish for a car. It was long. It was probably 15 minutes. But
for a $3.5 million thing,
yeah. But the actual bidding was not long. The parade and the promotion was, and the description and all the talking was a bigger part of it. But the actual auction, once it started, they went right after it.
Do you find that more you're getting more action from people who are not physically at the auction these days, now that it's easier to get in on streaming and to bid from your computer and do virtual options?
I think we'll see more of that coming up in the near future.
We may not have a choice.
with the current environment.
Yeah.
And we're planning on and really upping our capabilities for that. Just because people aren't going to be comfortable coming out for a while. That's just the reality of the new world we're going to live in after this. I try to tell people, you just got to understand that it's different now, and you just got to move forward with your life. You can't stay in the cave forever. But it's time to really get with the new. But before that, it was a very small percentage that was doing absentee. I'd say probably 5% at an auction.
Really?
5 to 10%.
I would have guessed more than that. That's pretty low. Yeah.
But it's an experience for most people. They make a vacation out of it. They travel with their wives and their family, and they come to the event, and they make a whole weekend out of it, or a guy's weekend. That's still the big one. Or a father and a son. They just the trip, especially like Kissimmee and Indy.
It's a pilgrimage.
The groups of guys that come every year. The whole group will buy 2 or 3 cars, and they spend the whole week and they have a great time. That's their get together for the year. And it's so great to see those people enjoying it and coming through the events and can't wait to get back to where we see them again.
I'd like to be that baller, I'd like to just go on vacation to buy. Although me and my pops went to Pebble Beach in 2014. And we went to the auctions, and it was fun. And we were inspired. We wanted to, you want to go home with something after you see all these people buying cars and hearing the gavel all these times. You're like, damn, I want to take something home. But by the time we got there, we didn't do any, we didn't do any background on anything. We were not prepared to really seriously buy. We ended up buying my mother a Jaguar F-Type for her birthday, like a brand new. Yeah. We're like, we just want to go home with anything
for $400,000 because you got caught up in the energy.
And that's what I tell people. You don't have to be a multi-millionaire to buy a car. We have cars at Kissimmee.
Go on Thursday, bro. Thursday's where all the good stuff is at. You can get out of there for under $20,000 on a Thursday.
We had cars sell for under $10,000, and we had a car sell for over $3 million. We had something for everybody.
What is in the $10,000 range? What is some of the stuff we're seeing? Is that just like random, less special 60s stuff that's not numbers matching, or what is that? So what is the $10,000 Mecum car looking like?
You can see something. You can see a mid 70s Corvette. You're starting to see some of that. Some of that mid 80s stuff that's starting to come on now. Another car, speaking of the cars that are coming on, those 80s Z28s, Fox body Mustangs.
Yes. IROCs are about to be cool. We're like a year from IROCs being cool.
Amazing.
Like, better late than never. What year 80s generation Camaro would you go for? Would you go end run IROC or early kind of naked style Pininfarina body?
I'm an end run IROC guy.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan.
Are you your Camaro over Fox body though?
I think I would if I was putting together a collection, I would try to put together a little bit of everything. I wouldn't just go with that. I'd have a Grand National. I'd have a GNX. GNX is getting a little expensive, but just a turbo Trans Am. That's, if I was putting together late 80s, early 90s, that's kind of the way I would go about it. I wouldn't focus on one thing. I'd do a whole genre.
A turbo Trans Am is one of those cars that sounds so cool, but in reality is so slow.
Yeah.
Oh, they're all mules.
Yeah. Compared to like, anything brand new. You know what I mean? It's all dogs. But that's okay. I got old weird cars and I love them, man. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm team Fox body. I think I had a pretty cool Fox body back in the day. I love these. Zach's got a 93 Cobra R pulled up, which is pretty much the ultimate Fox body. What did that go for? Did that sell? Is that a upcoming?
This is a new listing.
Oh, what's the estimate on that?
I think we had one sell in Kissimmee for big money. I'd have to go back and look to see what it did, but they're definitely getting up there.
Yeah, that's a good one. 93 Cobra R is that's a nice one, and an early Lightning is good too.
Lightnings have really kicked up.
Yeah,
the sport trucks are big.
I'm waiting for my first hard body. you guys got hard bodies? Central Florida maybe is where we'll find those.
I mean, C10s just got really popular. It feels like in the last, I don't know, 1 to 2 years. Like I just started seeing them blow up on Instagram and stuff. And
once Broncos went completely gone, right? It's the next level down. And now a Blazer's okay because nobody wanted a Blazer when you could still get a Bronco,
right?
And now that you can't get a Bronco anymore, you're like, all right, I guess I'll fuck with this Blazer. Because they're cutting the roofs off the Blazer, right? They're making them like they do with the Broncos with no roofs.
And if you can't do a Blazer, you get a Scout.
Oh man!
Have you seen, Frank? Have you seen these guys that are doing those $200,000 resto mod Scouts? And you just go, homie, that's not even possible. Like you, that's gonna rattle like it's made of Legos too. You can't unshitbox one of those. It's impossible. Do you have someone who is one of your bidders, customers, that's like a legend, like the sort of Ron Pratt-esque character? Ron Pratt's the guy who buys like every fourth car at Barrett Jackson. Do you have one of those guys?
We have our customers that have been with us for forever, just like that are at all the auctions that are bigger customers. It's we've been able and lucky to a lot of these people become part of our family. They're always there. You're always interacting. They've bought cars. They've sold cars. We've always we've been very lucky over the last 10 years to have a great run and met a lot of great people.
What do you think? All right, here's one. This may require some brain power. Where do you think is, in your experience, you're around so many cars. I'm sure you've driven thousands of cars. You've probably inspected thousands of cars and auctioned off thousands upon thousands of cars. Where do you think is the biggest discrepancy between a car's value and how it drives? Like, what is the most, like, think of a car that's worth like millions of dollars, but to drive it would be like a $5,000 to $10,000 driving experience. Like, I think that Bullet Mustang, if you don't care about Steve McQueen, you're talking about like a $20,000 driving experience for $3.5 million. If you don't care about the legend of Steve McQueen,
that's just in the same breath. The Eleanor that sold the next day for $800,000.
Yeah, was that a screen used movie car? What was the story on that?
That was one of the screen used movie cars, and that's become a iconic chasing car movie. So it's always going to be popular and always going to be have that cult following. But to drive that, just a put together car.
Yeah,
it was good.
Move any movie prop car is pretty much just like, forget it, it's just junk.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know my friend Freddie Hernandez. He's a YouTuber and he goes by Tavarish on YouTube, and he bought one of the Fast and Furious. I think it was from Fast 8. It was a Lambo Mercy, like an O2 Mercy that Tyrese drove in the film.
Oh, that would have been
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was the most beat, horrible South Florida Mercy, just trashed with like half a body kit on it. He fixed it himself though. He actually and he I think he had a body guy, but the rest of it mechanically he fixed it himself, and now he's got a pretty decent looking movie prop car, but it took a lot to get it there.
I had this is my movie car story. One of my dad's closest friends was in the movie car business, did a lot of big movies. Called me one day and says, "Can you go to Chicago to look at a car for me?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So I go in, this Rolls Royce convertible, and he's like, "So," he goes, "How is it?" I was like, "Well, it's terrible." He's like, he's like, "Does it got a title and a VIN number?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Is it, is it falling apart?" I was like, "No, but it's not nice." He goes, and I go, "It's too much money." He goes, "I don't care, just pay him." I'm like, all right, so I paid him. It was it was white and tan when I bought it, but it ended up being the silver Rolls Royce from Hangover.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yep.
I'd like to find Rodney Dangerfield's red Rolls Royce from.
That'd be.
Oh wait, you mean was it a Mercedes convertible from Hangover?
Yeah, Mercedes.
Mercedes, yeah, it was a Mercedes 280. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, those are lovely cars if you get a good one.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I drove one once. I drove the 3.5. It was fantastic. It's shocking how nice those things drive. But they're really expensive to get a good one. That's a $150,000 car for a sweet one.
Did this car have any markings of production? Like I saw a car once that had a hole drilled in the dashboard
for a camera mount.
For like the audio guy just drilled a hole for a wire, and then props came over and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
I think was it you guys, Frank? Someone sold Tony Soprano's Cadillac Escalade a few years back. I don't remember.
I don't believe that was us.
I don't remember which house it was, but it did have various little holes drilled in it for camera mounts. And it was weird because there weren't two. There wasn't like one for exterior shots and one for, mounted shots. So they only had one, and it had a kind of a not clean exterior. There was like little holes drilled in it that you just sort of couldn't see.
Was it holes in the door so they mount the camera outside the door and it just shines on the driver's side?
Yeah, and there was holes on the interior too to mount cameras. But it wasn't like you kind of have to look. But I just found it odd that for HBO that they got the exterior shots on a car that like had holes drilled in the outside. He just sort of didn't see them. It's funny.
Tricks, very tricky.
What is your sort of dream collection look like, Frank? Give me your top 5.
Oh, I can't. I don't look
too many. Too many cars.
Too many. I love them all. I don't think I could ever stop at 5. But I see. I've always been a big Corvette guy. 67 L88, something like that.
Can I actually ask you about 60s Corvettes? Because you've I imagine driven most, if not all, of the ones in the collection you have, right? So those very, very special ones with the very rare, super hot motors. Is the L88 the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's the biggest.
How much really different? Sorry, go ahead.
But the best driving, if you're going to drive a car, the 67 390. We have a car that's been around my family since I was a little kid. It's just a beat up 67 Corvette that we all end up driving, but it's it's probably worth nothing now because it's been hit, door dinged, everything. But it's just the car that we drive, and it always drives, always starts. The perfect car.
Is it the 427 390?
Yep.
So that's the best. If you were going to buy one to drive, that's the one you would say to buy and drive?
If you're going to buy a big block, would be the 390. You get into the tri-power, the 400 and the 435s. They're so temperamental. But or just a 327, 350 horse. If you're not going big block.
From a driving perspective, how much more noticeable is the crazy L88 one than the 427 435, which is still very expensive, but
it's if you're talking about raw power, there's nothing like an L88.
Really,
it is a fire breathing dragon.
Even like in compared to today's performance cars, what was that thing really making?
You're not. It was. I think it was. I think they said somewhere like 485, but it was really somewhere in the 550 range.
Whoa! Yeah, so it was fast.
It was a monster.
And how many of those were there?
67. There was 20.
Very few.
And that's back in bias ply tires days. Like suspension was suspension, brakes were brakes. I mean, but
you
the
can't
speed
launch
is
that
still
for nothing.
the speed. Wow. Yeah.
That's cool.
But the ultimate car for me would be probably a big block Cobra.
Do you guys have one in the collection?
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
I had a replica back in the day, and Zach's Pops has a replica now, and the one I had was a Superformance, and it wanted me dead. It just wanted me dead.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
And the other cars that we're seeing a lot of at the auctions now are the backdraft cars. Yep, those cars, they're doing really well at the sales.
Wait, what's a backdraft car?
It's another Cobra.
Oh, okay.
It's another Superformance. Yeah.
I think the backdraft ones look the least like the originals. They've thrown some of the original thing kind of out the window and modernized it.
Yep.
Yeah, my car just wanted me totally dead. I've always kind of said that the secret is that the small block Cobras actually drive much nicer.
Oh yeah, and so much. It just that they're made for it.
Yeah, and having something that's on kill mode all the time sounds a good idea, but like usually isn't. Wow, that's a great color combo, Zach. I really like that color combo you pulled up there. What is that? Is that like a mustardy silver?
Kind of like a
stripe?
mustard gold stripe with matching wheels with a silver rim, and then it's like a dark blue.
Yeah, it's
on
good.
A Cobra. It's really that is very very.
That
nice.
works. I like that a lot.
I think, cars like the big block Cobra, it's kind of like the Morgan experience, but with a little bit of terror. Like even at idle or at 10 miles an hour, like you're awake because you have to be, but that's an experience. You don't have to go 1,000 miles an hour.
Right. Because they are fun at slower speeds for sure.
No, just the sound in them.
Oh yeah.
Well, especially if you drive one like on a highway, next to a Jersey barrier or something where you get the echo.
Well, when we first finished ours, we drove it home from the friend of ours who we built it in like his barn, and my dad lifted off the gas, and we saw a blue flash on the concrete barrier. It was nighttime, and I got so excited I started yelling because I realized that it shot fire on overrun. It was so loud. It was so great.
Frank, have you ever had a car just take a massive poo on stage, like just blow oil everywhere and just really die?
Oh, it happens all the time. They're old cars. It's stage fright. It just happens. It happens more than you think.
Does the director of the television program go find the owner, zoom in on their face, get their reaction here?
Usually it doesn't affect the sale, but I mean, people there, the car guys, they understand.
It would, if I was bidding, it would definitely affect the sale. If a car broke on stage, I'd be like, I'm out.
It would depend on what happened. You've had
see a car overheat, and it's
No, that I might understand. Yeah, that I might understand. But I really I like the 80s and 90s stuff because we sort of got beyond overheating.
Yes.
Overheating is like, we solved that.
Same with air conditioning. We've got it now.
Yeah, you can have air conditioning in a car and not lose 45 horsepower
and go up a hill. Frank, we're looking at one of the results from a while ago. It's a 2016 Norwood 330 P4 replica. And how has the market and audience responded to replica? I mean, this is a really well done replica, but I think it sold for $450,000.
Yeah, depends on. There's so many different levels of replica. I believe that car actually had a original Ferrari chassis, so that's where you get some of your value on that. That was last year at Indy, so I'm not 100% on that. And we have a car coming up to our Indianapolis auctions. It's the same thing. It's coming out of a estate. 18 cars that are just amazing. But he's got a 59 Testarossa replica that's on a 250 Ferrari chassis. So
they were doing those for a while. They were straight up cutting up like 250 GTEs. They were like, fuck this. We could put a GTO body on it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, 250 GTE was like a $30,000 car forever. No one gave a shit. Now they're like 300.
Yep.
This has a Maranello engine in it, or 550 Maranello engine.
Do you know? So do you know who this guy is? Zach Norwood. So Bob Norwood is this guy in I believe Texas.
Yeah,
Frank.
Texas.
He's in Texas, right?
So.
And he's like the guy for Ferrari performance and horsepower. So remember I drove that turbo 308 that was like 550 horsepower and was basically a 288 GTO but with a transverse engine. That was a Norwood turbo kit for the 308.
Oh, okay.
And he has turbo kits for 348s. Remember that crazy Maxwell car we drove? That was based on a Norwood turbo kit for the 348.
Gotcha.
So he was like racing these things and this Norwood's the guy.
And
if you're going to have anyone build one of these things, this is the guy.
Okay, because the body is an aluminum hand-formed body, tube chassis, 550 V12 out of a Maranello.
I bet that sounds fucking ridiculous.
Sounds perfect, but it looks like, I mean, it looks like the car that raced against the Ford GTs and Ford versus Ferrari. Like that's
Yep.
Amazing. Frank, I know you wanted to talk about the upcoming Benoy auction.
Yeah, we have a couple great events coming up. The Eddie Benoy auction is going to be a collection auction of Eddie Benoy is a collector out of Jefferson, North Carolina. We're going to have the auction on site at his place. 100 great cars and one of the best road art collections we've ever had. His stuff is just perfect.
I mean, there's
the
22 pages of
in his place is amazing.
Zach just pulled up the first page of listings, but of the 100 cars, is there a general focus? The first page looked like mostly muscle cars. I see a couple Superbird, Daytona, Buick GS.
He's got a little bit of everything. He's got a couple resto mods. He's got some great Mopars. He's got some new cars. He's got some great new cars. There's 4 or 5 Demons.
4 or 5 Demons?
Yeah.
Was he a Dodge dealer? What are you doing with 4 or 5 Demons?
No, he's got a little bit of everything.
Oh, he's got that green AAR Cuda we're looking at, a 70 Cuda in, I don't know what the name of the green is, but it rules. Sublime. That's the color. That's fantastic.
Yep.
I'll take that exactly the way it is with the mag wheels.
His pedal car collection is out of this world. So it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be 4 days. It'll be in Jefferson, North Carolina.
When in the memorabilia, is memorabilia a good investment in any way? I mean, I know people collect a ton of this, the gas pumps and the pedal cars and all that stuff, but like, other than filling your man cave with tchotch, is there like
there's a whole different level of just of stuff going on with signs. I mean, we sold a porcelain sign. This was 3 years ago. For over $200,000.
Whoa!
So there's some serious stuff out there, and Eddie's definitely got some of that rare stuff, some of the big neon signs, some of that 30s stuff. We've sold gas pumps for $100,000 before. There's some of that early stuff that's really sought after.
Zach has pulled up a BF Goodrich porcelain neon sign that is beautiful. It looks like a beer sign more than a tire sign, actually. It's fantastic. Yep. It doesn't help that it's like next to a bunch of beer signs.
I mean, this collection is huge because I'm on Friday's selection and there are 22 pages of stuff, and then he has a Saturday auction.
a lot. So it's gonna be a neat event. So it's gonna be fun when we get there.
What does that say, Zach?
I think this is the inside of his building.
Wow, yeah. This dude's garage is crazy. He has a problem. This is a problem.
It's one of the coolest car buildings I've ever been in.
If this guy kept it a little less clean, he'd be a hoarder. But because he's got really excellent housekeeping, it's fucking wild.
This is. I mean, we're looking at 4 rows of old school gas pumps, 2 per pump, separating 2 cars each, and it just goes into the distance. He's got vintage bicycles hanging from the ceiling, more signs, neon signs, beer signs, car signs than
every square inch of the wall is covered in some kind of really expensive and lit sign.
Yeah. If you have epilepsy and you look at this photo, you might have a problem because there's so many colors and things happening.
Did this person pass away and this is an estate sale?
Nope, this is not an estate.
Really?
He's still alive. Just decided it's time to do something new.
Yeah, hit the wall. Man, you sell all this, you just get one yacht. Just 100-footer, and then you call it a day. And you hang one neon sign off the back.
I mean, you host professional NBA games in the space because you've cleared it out. Like
that's wild, huge. Man. People get really far down this rabbit hole. When did this guy start collecting cars, man? Wow.
Oh, this is I don't think this. Part of these guys do. They get a collection built and then they sell it. Like I said before, it's all about the hunt. It's time to do it again. He wants to keep hunting.
Zach just found included in the listing is a Willie Nelson mannequin.
Yep.
Which I have to say I want. I want that for my new studio. And I don't know who the mannequin is next to Willie in this photo. It looks like maybe Anthony Cumia, but I'm not really sure. But that is a very, very cool, a burlap Willie Nelson mannequin. That's fucking great. That's cool, man. Are you guys, are you able, you said this is on site, so are people able to come? You're going to have in-person auctions? How's this going to work?
We are going to be delaying it till July, but it will be in person.
Okay, cool. Wow.
And like I said, we're going to be working around it and adding more absentee stuff, but we'll be in person once we get there.
Yeah, I was wondering, if you guys, if you're forced to through government regulation or just the spread of pandemic or whatever, if you just can't have big in-person auctions,
it's right now we're kind of in a holding pattern, seeing what we can do and when we can do it. I think over the last 10 days, we're starting to see a pathway finally, so we can start telling people what we're actually going to do, which has been the hardest part over the last 40 days, is not really being able to give a direct answer of what we can do and what we can't do. So I think over the next week, 10 days, we're going to have a pathway to finally start knowing what we are going to do, which is nice.
Do you see yourself and the company pivoting to try to lean a little more on the online bidding, or maybe like pre-bidding, proxy bidding, or whatever, if you can't for a year or more have big multi-thousand person gatherings?
Yeah, we'll transfer if it's over a year. I don't think it will be, but if it's something like that, we would definitely start doing some online stuff and start promoting that way. We're committed, and I think we'll eventually get into the online game naturally, anyways, as technology comes along. But it'll be to do it for the right reason and not just to do it because we can't. So yeah, that's our way that we're heading.
I feel you. Cool, man. Zach, do we have any questions for Frank specifically before we let him go? We got a little messed up with the technology earlier today. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Trent Schaefer asked if Mecum has ever had an all Pontiac show. Do you guys do all one mark?
We have. I shouldn't say never, because we've done just about everything. in the mid '90s, we used to have a all Chevy show, and we also used to do the Bloomington Gold all Corvette auction, but we have never done all Pontiac.
Okay.
Diminishing vehicles available in the all Pontiac show.
Isaiah Land says, "What is the most ridiculous looking paint job ever offered on a standard production vehicle that you've seen?"
Ridiculous. That somebody's actually just done to a car. Oh, there's some.
No, offered from the factory. So I think, for instance, think like Mistachrome on the '96 Cobras.
That was the one that I went to right away.
Yeah.
But I'd say that's right up there. But there's some definitely odd stuff that you see all the time.
Well, there was some wild stuff from the '70s too, with the graphics and all that kind of craziness.
Yeah, and some of the new supercars. I mean, you can get some.
It's true.
Crazy stuff going there.
It's true. You can make a McLaren Senna really ugly if you try. Or you can, if with the right color, you could do pretty good. Mecum was selling Michael Fuchs's, which was the green, and you got lucky because Michael Fuchs' car, you could go either way. But you guys lucked out because the green was really nice, actually.
Yeah. The exposed carbon on that car is really cool.
Very pretty. It could have ended up being a yellow on yellow on yellow on yellow. You know what I mean? You never, depending on which way the coin lands that day with that guy. That it, Zach?
That's it for Frank. Yep.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Frank. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Is it Mecum.com? Where we can find Mecum.com if you want to get down on that crazy auction they've got going, which has been moved to July. Over 100 cars and some really weird signs and one Willie Nelson mannequin. Thanks very much, Frank.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Talk to you later.
Yep.
Jesus. He seems like a nice guy, but the technology, what a disaster. Oh, my God.
Didn't do him justice.
I probably didn't, and we were trying our best, but it's really one of the reasons that maybe we should keep it to our friends for the virtual. Actually, I don't know if that would have made a difference.
It wouldn't have made a difference. I think
it wouldn't have made just technology.
We'll just do a longer test in the beginning, I think.
It seemed okay during the test, and then it sort of fell apart real quick.
Well, we weren't streaming during the test, so then maybe it's because he's going to us and back out. I don't know.
Sorry, folks.
We'll do a longer test.
I hope. I'm sorry. Might be a little extra work for Zach there to trim out some of that garbage.
It's okay.
By the time you get to the finished podcast, I hope it's something that's listenable.
I'll play it in reverse. It'll be great.
Put the thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
Yeah, exactly. We had a couple other questions that were just not specific to Frank, and we'll get out of here. Stacy Dodds says, I know. Thanks for the content. Richard H says, what's a bigger shitbox, a new Charger or a used Tesla Model S?
Oh, boy. A new Charger or a used Model S? I mean, first off, I don't think either of those cars are shitboxes. No. I think a used Model S, depending on its age, is a highly variable.
Yeah.
You're talking, it's not about the Model S. It's about that Model S or that Model S or that Model S. You know what I mean?
And some of that is where was it driven and who was it driven by.
Totally.
When I drove, I did a thing like 2 weeks ago, I was passing a Model 3. And the entire rear half of the underbody had come undone somehow and was flapping against the ground and tugging against the rear bumper. And the people driving the car had no idea. I mean,
how do you not hear that?
You hear something, but the car keeps moving. They just didn't seem to care. I mean, dude, this was like a parachute under the car, flapping up and down, catching the wind, hitting the ground, and then the air goes somewhere, and then it bounces back up. And they were just they're passing exits. They were just chilling. Like that model. Whatever.
Yeah, you don't want that
shit
one.
Box.
Yeah.
And a new Charger is not a shit box. It's like
Chargers are not shit
they're
boxes.
Comfortable.
Yeah,
I like
they're
the
fine.
wheelbase. They handle nice. Some of them.
Yeah. They're fine. They're the tolerances are a little not as tight as European cars, but like they're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with a new Charger.
And then the other one is Paul Pepper. Just asked for his shout out for his first responder truck that he wrapped in. First respond, like
is that a wolf?
That is a dog, Matt. That's a dog.
Sorry,
greeting a fireman in New York.
Yeah.
So he just wanted a shout out for that.
It's aggressive.
So it's called Dark Knight First Responder Truck. If you want to look it up.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
It is aggressive.
It's there's really a lot happening on it. It's There's some patriotism and there's a lot of patriotism really on that. Some heavily America. It's heavily America. Well, so I've got this Range Rover thing, which is pretty cool. Thule hooked up the cargo basket on the Safari, which we can talk about that more later. But I installed it myself, pretty easy. Actually, I hope Hannah's not listening. Hannah helped me install it. I didn't install it totally myself. Hannah helped me. But so the thing is with it, right? The 4 feet that connect to the roof rails, they're all 4 the same length, right?
Okay.
Which on a normal car would be fine, but it angles right on the 911, so the box is canted to the rear like 2 degrees.
Oh, that's okay.
It's not that bad, right? But my need for it to be level is, so the guy at Thule was super cool. They have a custom set of rear feet that are a little taller, so the rear bar
right.
is going to have a 2-inch taller foot, so it's going to move further back halfway down that rear window, and then the basket will sit perfectly level with the ground.
Do the feet, so at the feet you have these like round knobs on them. Is that so that they can angle with the rain gutter but it still seats firmly against it, like
it angles with the rain gutter? Right. Yes, it does.
Okay.
There's no way around that.
No, that's good, because I was worried at first that you'd have a gap.
No, there's no gap. It angles with the gutter, but I just need it looks really good. It looks tough as hell. And most people would be like, yeah, this is fine. But that 1 degree is going to drive me completely crazy. Fortunately, the Thule guy, he is like that too, and he gets it. He's like, oh, no problem. We'll just get you these. So next week I'll have a thing just boop. But very exciting. Unfortunately, while we were doing this show, while we were fucking around trying to get Frank to work, the Safari Southwest event has been postponed. It was supposed to happen June 1st, but there's no way. So
we were worried about that.
Maybe you and I just go on a little drive somewhere.
Let's just do a day trip.
I mean, maybe we just go on a drive, maybe an overnight somewhere. Just get fucking tents.
Dude, if you want a desert camp, I'm super down.
We could probably do that.
Yeah.
That would be very fun. But and we've got the gear now. They hooked up these weatherproof duffel bags for you and I, so we can put our luggage on the roof and not have to get the car super dirty and not get our clothes wet.
Well, and also the dust that will be kicked up would go into the bag, into the clothes, and everything else. So we got that, and then he even hooked up the ski rack attachment, which I'd take a picture of yet, but for the winter we can put skis on. So that goes on top of the rack, right? So you're everything's like a foot tall. Does the ski rack clip to the round bar in the front?
So you have to take the basket off.
Oh, that's
for the
much
ski
better.
rack. Yeah,
Cool.
They have another one that's like an upgrade one where they have a ski rack that goes into the basket and it's like one deal. I didn't need that. So yeah.
Cool.
And I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna leave the basket on all the time or not. Probably not.
Nah.
But it's pretty cool.
It's really handy.
I'm pretty stoked on it.
Really, really handy.
Yeah. Especially because we're gonna have to whenever the Safari rally happens, we're gonna bring 2 spare wheels, a front and a rear. The front will fit in the frunk, but the rear goes on the basket.
Cool.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Right.
And I'm driving it today because it's perfect day to be driving an old car because it's really nice.
Well, it's that or the Delica, right?
No, I have a press car.
Oh, that's
I have
right.
a Range Rover. I have a 550 horsepower supercharged Range Rover, which is cool. I don't know if Jamal worked on this one yet though. I have to text him and see if this is Jamal's project because he's SVR, right? And this is SV Autobiography. It's not SVR.
Is this the SV Autobiography Dynamic Edition?
Mm-hmm. Okay. They sent me this thing we got you in the SVAD, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then it showed up and it said SV Autobiography Dynamic. I went, oh, I got it.
I think it has the longest name of any car available right now.
SV.
It should be the longest.
Land Rover, Range Rover, Velar SV Autobiography Dynamic. That's fucking long. That's long. Is that longer than Porsche Panamera Turbo SE Hybrid? It is, I think.
By characters, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because SE is short.
By words. Land Rover, Range Rover, Velar, SV. We'll call SV one thing, autobiography, dynamic. That's 8 words.
You need a ski rack on top to carry the
It really
name.
makes you wish they called it like the 540 or something. Right?
Yeah, Infinity's sitting there going, yeah, we're not so weird, are we?
Fuck you.
Fuck you. You made fun of the QX35i.
You guys, they should really go back to names. You want names? I give you all the names.
Right.
We had 8 names.
That's kind of true, right? Because if you have to separate it from the other Velars and the other Velars, which is a very good-looking car, I see them around and I go, it's nice.
Yeah.
Also a good-looking wagon, depending on how you want to look at it. If it's if it's in low mode, it's like it just looks like a rad-looking wagon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a gangster-looking wagon with big rims and high shoulders, pretty much.
It's a good-looking car.
But it has air suspension and it has all the it has the off-roady shit on it. In theory, should be able to off-road. Too bad my favorite trail is closed.
It should be, I mean, what is the ground clearance when it's in high mode?
I don't know. They dropped it off this morning. I've done no research. I have absolutely no idea. But I took the regular Velar serious off-roading. I did the Pioneer
that's right.
Trail. Yeah. People are like, the Velar can't off-road. Bullshit. I cleared that trail. No problem.
Smart computers, the wheel sensors, everything. It's really amazing. It's
Yeah.
like rock climbing now.
Yeah.
Each tire is doing its own thing and helping you get somewhere.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Exactly. Software is the shit. And I know I totally recognize why somebody would want like a manual transmission fucking lever locker Jeep Wrangler and go like, yeah, for the same reason I like driving stick in the canyons, like because you have a skill and you want to use that skill. I don't care about that skill off-roading. I want to go to the top of that mountain and see what the world looks like from up there. And if a computer helps me, that's okay. I'm fine with that. I don't have that much pride about it, honestly. I don't give a shit.
And for me, it's also like an experience thing. I feel safer driving a off-roading seriously with an automatic car because I only have to worry about 2 pedals. But if I have to like move the thing and slip, like I feel like I'm back in high school starting on a hill again.
Yeah.
And I'm going to burn the clutch up, or I might roll backwards too far, all those different things. So I'd rather just focus on placing the tire for right now.
I agree. Well, that's our show, guys. Thanks for putting up with whatever this was and whatever it turns out to be. For the live people remaining, if there are any after that, let's see. Monday, we got a good lineup next week. Cinco de Mayo is going to be Tuesday. We got shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Mike Musto, Cinco de Mayo, 5 p.m. with tequila. Wednesday, 4 p.m. Larry Casilla of Ammo calling in from, I think, his new shop that's possibly done. And then Thursday at 5, Tom Segura, famous comedian, heavy hitter, and car and watch aficionado, says Spike Ferriston. And apparently Tom Segura researched and successfully found the history and story behind that black porn star coronavirus meme.
What? I don't even know what you're talking about.
You know the photo that's like a meme that's like a Rickroll meme of like the big like Warren Sapp looking black guy sitting here like naked like this with no one sent you that with like an enormous monster penis?
Maybe, but not this year.
No, this is new. Yeah, it's a new thing. It's a new thing. Make sure you find it. Don't search it now. Not on the work computer.
Okay.
No, I mean you can if you want, but it's NSF the show. It's not safe for air. But the point is, it's a meme, and with a guy. It's like a gay porn type thing. That's it. That's it right there.
So
do not share that screen.
I won't. Segura research this.
He found the history and he found out not only who that person is, but the photographer, the circumstances, the whole fucking shit.
This is like his serial.
Basically. So yeah, that's next week. We got 3 good shows for you guys.
Awesome
All right.
shows.
Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. All you need is a microphone, a connection to the internet, and ideally something to say.